Hello, hello, it's Kevin here. I'm back again. It's been a while. As usual, must be at least a week or so, but as I keep saying, too much to do every day, lessons, new kind of projects, and all different kinds of stuff. Anyway, so first things first, disclaimer, fair use, non-profit, blah blah blah, because I don't make any bloody profit out of this, that's for sure. Anyway, fair use. Okay, now, so what we're going to have a look at, just in case you don't know, in collaboration with IELTS9PRO, we've been looking at all Cambridge academic writing tasks. We did most of the essays, and now we're doing task number 1. The graph, chart, data, map process, etc. So we started with Cambridge 17. We did 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, and 12. And now this is Cambridge 11. This should be test number 2, I think. Yeah. So we did test 1. This is test number 2. So this is the 1. I'll show you. This is the... Where's my cursor gone? Here we go. These are the pie charts. Here we go. Proportion of British students at one university who are able to speak other languages in addition to English. Okay. So, what I do, I don't know where you are watching, on Telegram, on IELTS9PRO, on YouTube, or a Parrot, or any other source. So what I do, we've got a group on Telegram. I post the topics, people write responses, I take the first 5 and do a review. I write a sample and explain how and why I came to write it in the way that I did. Hopefully that will give you some ideas based on the criteria, and that's it. So, first things first, this is it. Okay, 2010. Now, key features, I'll show you mine first. So, introduction, pretty easy. Just change the word order, maybe synonyms if they are appropriate, but it doesn't make a lot of difference. Just simply, don't copy it all. You know, anything more than 3, 4, 5 words directly lifted will be crossed out. So, anyway, the pie charts illustrate the number of British students who can speak more than one language, as well as English, at a particular English university in 2010. Okay, now, key features. Now, it was obvious here that there's a general increase in the number of undergraduates who could speak more than one language. Because if you compare them all, right, so you've got no other language at 20%, and now it's 10. And the number of Spanish speakers has gone up. Another language has gone up. What's that one? The German one's the same. Okay. The French, that's gone down, but another language increased. Another 2 languages increased. Spanish, and the number of people who only speak one has gone down. So if you take all this into account, it's obvious that more people can speak more than one language between 2000 and 2010. The second key feature is, well, usually what's the biggest, what's the smallest, what's the same, what has changed, etc. And it's obvious that main feature, more people speak more languages, but the largest group is Spanish, from 30 to 35. So that's basically it. So there's not a lot else. So overall, it is apparent that across the period there was a general increase in the number of undergraduates who could speak more than one language, and that out of all the languages spoken, Spanish was the most popular. And then we need to do comparisons, figures and details. So, makes sense to start with the largest first. Now, I have to, I keep having to say this every time I make a video when I'm looking at other people's work. often what they tend to do is they don't understand or have a clear structure to put the information down. It's about how you order the information. So usually, if it's a data one, graph, chart, table, etc., what's the biggest? What's the smallest? What's the same? What's changed? Etc. So here, those who only spoke Spanish made up the largest percentage of students, 35%, blah, blah, blah. Whereas those who spoke another language, those who spoke two, were the second and, were the second and third largest group. So I've done the biggest, the largest, and second and third. And then, by way of comparison, those who didn't went from 20 to 10. Now, as it says, interestingly, although the other languages increased, French was the only one whose numbers went down, while Germans were unchanged. So if you think about it, that's really a logical organization. So you've got the biggest first, then you've got the second, then the third, then you've got the one that's gone down and one that's unchanged. Or you could put the one that was unchanged first and then the one that went kind of down. It doesn't matter really, but you've got more or less a logical flow of organization, yeah? So that's what you want. Now it's 181 words. I wrote it yesterday. I haven't seen it since, so I think I've got it correct. I think that's all I wanted to say. Okay, good. So that's essentially that. I'll just leave that there so you can see it. Okay, so introduction is not important really. The overview is, must have one, as I've explained and shown on several videos in the past. You must clearly identify the key trends and features. Then make comparisons, if relevant, figures and data. So there's no figures or data in these two. You have to include them in paragraph 3 and 4. No conclusion. It's not an essay, nothing to conclude. Okay, so let's have a peep at this one. Now, let me just push it down a little bit. Make this a little bit larger. Okay. So, put the changes on. And let's see. The provided pie charts illustrate the percentage of British, well, it can't be who study because it's in 2000 and 2010, so we can't really do that. We have to change it to past tense. Who studied at a university located in England. Well, England is not Britain, so it says British students, but still you can use that. At a university located in England, they just say an English university. You could say that. Except English university. So I was obviously a chance in those students knowing French. Now, right. So, why would you put what's the smallest first? So what's gone down first? Surely it would be more logical, intuitively, to show, the biggest. Start with the largest and then move kind of down, yeah? So, most students knowing French, I was going to say languages, English decreased, while percentages speaking other languages increased. Okay, so it's kind of there, but still, I would have put that the other way around, like I did in mine. Okay, what's the largest? Overall, the bigger picture, more people can speak more languages, and Spanish is the largest. So I would have put that, like I say, in the overview. English was 2009 declined. Now, right, where does it say that? They want you, right, well, no, they don't want you to make any kind of supposition or guess as to why the figures or data may show what they show. Now, this could well be true, but how do we know this? And it doesn't say in the chart, in the pie charts. So don't include this kind of stuff. You will get marked down because it doesn't say that. Only, right, it's a description. It's, it's purely, I can see this, we can see that, that's gone up, that's gone down, there's this figure, there's that figure, that's it. Know why this might be. We're not interested, right? So, German, remain constant. Sharp contrast, there was an increase in other languages that students could speak. So, again, why would you put the lowest first? Why would you not start with the biggest? That makes more sense, I would have thought. To speak Spanish, so that's not bad, but the organisation would certainly result in a lower score. It's not as logical as it should be or could be. But in terms of the English part, it's pretty good. Turning to details, well, I would probably put an article. The two pie charts compare ratio of British students, British pupils in their digital English. Okay, all right, that's good. 2000 English. Ah, right, now you see. That's good. So, okay, so there's one key feature there, but what's the largest? I would have put of Spanish. So that's not too bad. But still, I would have put a little bit more in. Actually, let me just check a word count here. 196. Okay, that's plenty. Spanish, which had right. So now that should be in the overview, really, because that's a significant figure. Okay, and just over 1/3. So what's the percentage exactly? Here we need figures and data. Which I'm saying, I've spoken merely English. Well, it's not merely, is it? It's only. Merely is not quite the same thing. With a fifth, which was half 10 years later. Right, so when you're using, so you've got what? A fifth, a half. Instead of fractions, tell me, was it 5%? Was it 10%? Was it 80%? So it's not confusing people. What? So 10% as you speak German. So why would you compare these two? Why is that? Why is it notable that 2 was 10% equal to those who could speak in German? Why are you because there's nothing to compare there. Why are you so just because these two groups both were at 10%, that's enough for a comparison? Okay. People's replacements, right. So in terms of vocab, if it's at university, we call them students, not pupils. All right. Pupils are for school. They're not interchangeable. Not really. Okay. Pupils, not students. Okay. Not interchangeable. So again, that's not bad, but the organisation, there's no logic. It's all over the place. You've got data for here, there was this language and that one, there was this one. So what they've done here is, okay, so we've got, the pie chart in 2000. So they're trying to describe that. And then you've got the pie chart in 2010. Had an immense contribution. Immense contribution of what? Or to what? We wouldn't really say that. 50% growth compared to... So, again, 50% of growth. Why not simply say it was 10%, now it's 20% or whatever? Okay, so this is why I keep saying every week, organisation. It must be logical. Otherwise, the reader's jumping back and forth. This is why it makes more sense to do biggest going to the smallest. Isn't that a more logical arrangement? I would have thought so. Pie charts illustrates a percentage of British students. English university, who can speak other languages or who could speak because it's in the past. Besides English 2 in 2 years, overall both is a Spanish over portion. Okay, so they've identified that, the Spanish. And so this is more like it. So you've got the biggest and the smallest. Yeah. But in terms of a bigger picture, as I say, language proficiency has increased across the board. That's the main feature. Across the whole of the sector of a pie chart, it's increased in general. So I would have included that, but that's not too bad. So that's more or less the general idea. What's the biggest? What's the smallest? But like I say, I would have put the overall thing first. More people can speak more languages. Some sections have increased in value. It's not increasing value, it's an increase in numbers. It's not a value, is it? As the largest what's this? As the largest family of students that can speak another language. Or so is it other languages or another language? Is it singular or plural that you mean there? And German only section has the lowest value in both years overall. So, okay. Some sections have increased in value. That's again amount or number in the period of 10 years. For instance, is the Spanish only section, which increased. Why value? Value is what something is worth, not necessarily how much something costs. Okay, so we need to be careful here, because value doesn't necessarily mean what you think it does. Other portion, like German only, is state stable. Well, state stable, 10% value. What's obvious value? It's something doesn't increase in value. That's like, right, so say you buy a bar of gold and it's worth 1,000 euros. Then because of the markets, a week later it's worth 1,500. That's an increase in value. So that's not the same. That's simply an increase in percentage, in figures, not necessarily in value. So, not too bad, but again, organization has, some sections have decreased in value. So, right. Again, you need to be clear. You need to, like in my sample, have a logical structure. If you don't have it, it's going to be very difficult for the reader to follow. I mean, actually, what IELTS examiners, what they say is, if you've written task 1 correctly, the reader, without seeing the actual picture, should be able to recreate the graph data chart map process based on your words alone. That's what they say. If you think about it, obviously for most people that might not work, but what they say is, ideally, your description should be so good, I should be able to recreate or to draw the table graph chart based on how you've described it. So this is why you need a logical structure, organization. So the charts below show the proportion of the British. Okay, yeah, good. Why do we have the same? Isn't that the same? Why do we have 2 sentences exactly the same? Must be some mistake there. Maybe that's from something else. Overall, in both is Spanish most popular, so we can right. So again, not looking at the big picture. So we've got, okay, Spanish was the biggest and a significant decrease. You mean that means there was an increase in language, in student proficiency in languages overall. So you've got this kind of the opposite way around. A decrease, you mean there was an... So instead of there was a decrease in people who could only speak 1, shouldn't you be more likely to say there was an increase in people who could speak more than 1? Not a decrease. So that's kind of what the overview should be, but it's an increase in language speakers, not a decrease in the number of people who could only speak one, which is kind of a negative decrease, if you see. How can that be? Anyway, in 2000, Spanish was 30%, German was 10%. So what, are you making the claim that this is the biggest and that's the smallest? So why would you put Spanish and German unless you're going to say this is the biggest, this is the smallest? That's about. Presumably that means 2010. I think that's mentioned incorrect percent. So I didn't know this. Right. So again, the organisation here is just, I can't see a logic. It's going round and round, randomly picking bits of information. This is why. How many times in this video have I said this? About 10. So I'll say it for the 11th time. Organisation, right? If you don't have it, it's just a mess. The readers, you've picked this figure, you've picked that one, you're comparing this, but there's no reason why you would compare those. What is a structure? So I hope I'm not going to have to say it for the 12th time, though I wouldn't hold my breath. So let's have a look. The provided charts compare them as being able to speak, well, who were able, who can, find out 2 separate years, in percentages, okay, based on given data on 2 charts. Well, yeah, explain it on the students. So that's the key feature. There's only one. Okay, so you've got the biggest. Then you've got English. Then 2 and Spanish. So, right, it seems that all that you've done here is simply describe every single thing, detail, figure in chart number 1, but not making direct comparisons. Made remarkable progress. Only, with pupils with the ability, apart from English. So right, so again, then you've got the largest. Why would you put the largest right at the end? Anyway, right, so I'm not going to say it for the 13th time. So I think I've made my feelings pretty clear, right? So I'll show you mine once again. So introduction, simple restatement, key features must identify. Like I said, instead of saying there was a decrease in monolingual students, which is kind of a negative decrease, let's say, in general, there was a general increase of a number who could speak more, and that the biggest was in Spanish. And then comparisons. 2000, 2010, 30, 55, went up, second and third largest, that halved, interestingly, that fell, that was unchanged. So that should give you some ideas about how how you can structure it. It's got to have a logic. If you don't, cohesion, coherence. So right, task achievement. If you don't have an overview or a good clear one, you can't get more than 5, right? Cohesion and coherence. If it's not easy to, right, I'm going to show you, right, just to be clear. This is the public version of the descriptors. These are the new ones, came out at the start of May. Just before we finish, I'll show you this. If this file will open. Okay. So let me just get my pen out and I'll show you. All requirements, okay, academic, right, key features, skillfully selected and clearly presented, highlighted and illustrated. In other words, the overview, you must have a good one. Clear overview, appropriately categorize main trends or differences identified. right? Overview. If you don't have a good one, it's going down, it's going down. So it's how well you clearly identify those key features, like it says, without referring to the bigger picture. As I said, in that one, the bigger picture is language proficiency in general across the board increased. Okay, now in terms of cohesion, right? So message can be followed with ease. In those, can the message really be followed with ease? Is there a logical organization? Is there a progression? Largest to the smallest, or smallest to the largest? Is there a progression? Yeah. Again, organization not wholly logical, lack of overall progression. So this is kind of for most of you. If you don't have an overview, 5, maybe 6 for an overview, maybe 5 for cohesion and coherence. You know? So maybe even 4. This is why I keep saying, even if your grammar and vocab are good, if you don't have the, like it says here, if you don't have a coherent logical arrangement and a clear identification of key trends, you'll get 5, 5, maybe 6, 4, 2 out of your 4. So that's going to pull the whole score down. Okay, so I'll call that quits. I won't say any more. So I'm going to do another video a bit later today. Should be test number 3, and I'll be posting task number 4 in a minute or 2. So this video is a little bit longer than I anticipated, but I hope you get the general idea. Okay, hope that helps. Bye for now.